So let's get right into it, actually. So SB35 has been around actually for years. It's just was little known, like SB9 was underutilized. So, and then
Mhm.
AB2011 or 2011 came, and then that was like, oh, what? We could do this and that. And it's like, well, you also have another option, SB35. So
Right.
there's this inefficiency that I think both our companies represent could be the solution, which
Mhm.
is still boils down to we don't know what our options are, and there's a part of it that we provide, which is the the zoning and the buildable envelope. These are just givens, like you have to abide by.
Mhm.
Then there's also another part of this, which is why I like you guys, is because, well, look, there's a slew of housing bills that you could utilize to also that gets more density and could fit this, give you more ROI for this lot or parcel versus
Mhm.
non-use of it. And so they're like, well, but there's too many. What are you talking about? I don't understand, right? Like, so
Right.
that's where After comes in. I'm gonna definitely link all your website, but all of the information for these housing bills on the
Mhm.
show notes. And I think everyone that's listening, or the developers, really should have someone even on their team just review the bills, the 2011s,
Mhm.
SP35s, because they come to us and ask, and some of the times we try to give high level explanations on them, but there is part and parcel, like really government analysis side of this. But yeah, so 2011 and SB35, for everyone that doesn't know about these bills, is their intention was to provide, just like transit oriented communities or districts, there's always this push and pull where, okay, if the developer has to have something pencil, and what I mean by pencil is there is a cost to the land or the dirt, there's a cost to build, and then
Mhm.
they have to have a return. That's just a given for any type of development. To meet that
Mhm.
gap, affordable uses low income housing tax, it's tax credits basically in grants, right? That
Mhm.
meets the 25% gap. And then the market rate is just, no, I need a lot more density, right? To that, then that's more income and valuation. And that's how I could get projects to pencil. Well,
Mhm.
these bills go, great, we will give you more density. We will give you a
Mhm.
bump up, 50% density, 60, 70, 80. But for that, we need a requirement, a set aside for affordable units. That's what these bills are. They're
Right.
just different kind of recipes of the same thing, generally speaking.
Mhm.
It's just like, we'll give you more, we'll allow, retail zones to build housing, we'll fill the gap for this and this, but the
Mhm.
trigger is, are you hitting 50% affordable for one bill? Is it,
Right.
20% for one bill? So each of the bills address different triggers and maybe different use cases, but high
Mhm.
level, it is providing affordable set aside for getting more market
Mhm.
rates so that you could pencil that project.
Yeah, 100%. And I think to dive into uh both of the points that you mentioned with, like, for example, AB 2011,
Yeah.
I definitely feel like there's a better story that we could tell as, people in very complex industries that can teach the everyday person or someone who's very well invested and acquainted with this space,
Yes.
um, about the systemic implications of this bill.
Right.
Because if I'm someone who only cares about real estate or only cares about the building of the houses, and I don't really care about every other cog in that system, like construction workers or anything like that,
Right.
I could see a bill like AB 2011 be like, this is amazing, I love it, it's
Yeah.
great. They
Yeah.
want, and one of the requirements is in AB 2011 is that certain wage and labor standards have to be met. So all
Prevailing.
construction workers need to be paid at least at the prevailing rate of wages as
Yeah.
specified in the bill and all that. So um, with a lot of those, a lot of the supports on that bill, specifically in the most recent analysis, is cities, housing corporations, organizations basically representing construction workers that pretty much say that this is going to be a net positive way in fixing, consequentially, of course, California's like at that time 2.5 million home deficit
Yeah.
by accelerating housing production at all income levels.
Right.
That's what a lot of the supporting organizations basically summarized
Right.
would why as the reason behind why they would uh you know propose this to be an actual amendment to the law. But
Right.
um a lot of the people who opposed it were basically organizations that represented construction workers that said that in the absence of the provisions that a lot of unions would basically need to be formed to make sure that all those bumps up in wages and standards are actually met, there won't be a lot of protection for the workers building these new homes, and that
Right.
just leaves a lot of room for potential abuse and just malpractice and all that type of stuff.
Right.
um and that's that, like when I was reading through AB 2011, that's when it started really becoming clear to me that everything in this legislative space is a system, and these bills are very obviously dated and very what's the right word that I'm looking for? They're super dated and they're super, overwhelming, I think is the
Yeah.
best way to put it,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is, it's just all text here and there and it's super hard to read. And if you're in government affairs, it's a very, very fast-paced industry, so you just need to move really quickly.
Yeah.
Um, you miss out on a lot of the core things that this is presenting, which is just, hey, we're going to increase this and increase this, but that means that something is going to have to take the hit or something, or we're going to need to
Yeah.
get some more funding somehow. And speaking purely from the legislative perspective, that's where like the budget comes along,
Yeah.
because now you can have more spending on different things. And I think the one nice fun thing about engineering, or working on engineering, as stressful as it is, obviously, but the one fun thing about working in engineering in a space like this is, for the lack of a better phrase, it's a playground, because everything that you do for the first time hasn't been done in this industry before. Just because, you know, the legislative scene is very old and has its ways,
Yeah.
and a lot of the companies in there are not necessarily the fast iterating, highly moving, high tech startups and all that. So heading in there and saying, oh, let's use this one tool that DoorDash used to route drivers to their restaurants and
Mhm.
people placing orders. Let's use that to see where in the cities we can actually find people who would like oppose or support a bill, or
Right.
would probably
Right.
be on the same topic on something. It's that outsider's perspective really starts coming in, and it just becomes amazing because you just have the entire universe to just play around with. And it's eventually like what I'd love to get to as the engineering vision of abstract is showing that risk as a system,
Mm.
and just saying that on the bill you could just say, well, hey, this means that as a real estate developer, if you're a real estate developer using abstract, um, this means that the costs necessary, or like the amount of time to get a permit approved, is going to be cut in half, but you're going to have to spend more on this side. So it just presents you with all the objective data that you can then make a decision on. And
No, I
I
love
just
that
love
point.
that
I
idea.
love that point. I'm going to continue on that point. Let me
For sure.
a little bit deeper dive there. So